Now we're going to talk about the issues, and what we did, we'll present the issues as they are going to be presented to you in the ballot, and then we will give you some information that we have gotten that is for and against each issue. And I'll do the one on issue 1, and Denny Crouch, president of the Tea Party, is going to be doing issue 2. If you would like to know what your ballot is going to look like, all you need to do to get an exact copy of what your ballot is going to look like, all you need to do is Google Greene County, Ohio, voter lookup, and type in your name, and then hit sample ballot, and it will come up right as you are going to see it when you go into the voting room. So Greene County, Ohio, voter lookup, and it takes you right to that spot, and you type your name in, and then look up some sample ballot. Okay, issue 1 is Crime Victim Rights Initiative, and it's also known as Marcy's Law. Currently, in the United States Constitution and all of the...
I can hardly hear you.
Currently, the United States Constitution and all of the state constitutions have enumerated rights for criminals and for people who are accused of principles. However, the U.S. Constitution and 15 other state constitutions do not have any rights for the crime victims or their families. And in 1983, Marcy Nicholas, a University of California student, was stalked and killed by her ex-boyfriend. Her brother, Dr. Henry Nicholas, started this initiative to get the victims' rights into the constitutions, and it passed in California in 2008, and in Montana and South Dakota and North Dakota since then, and it's now being considered in 9 other states. We did have an amendment back in 1994. The initiative that's on the ballot today provides some new rights and a more specific list of rights. The official ballot title is as follows, and I'm going to read it. Issue 1, Proposed Constitutional Amendment to repeal and replace the existing language in Article 1 of the Constitution. A majority yes vote is necessary for the amendment to pass. The proposed amendment would expand the rights of victims under the Section 10 and require the rights of the victims be protected as vigorously as the rights of the accused. More specifically, for the purpose of ensuring due process, respect, fairness, and justice for crime victims and their families in the criminal and juvenile justice systems, the amendment would provide victims with the right to privacy and to be treated with respect, fairness, and dignity, the right to information about the rights and services available to crime victims, right to notification in a timely manner of all proceedings in the case, the right to be present and heard at all court proceedings, including the right to petition the court to protect the victim's rights, the right to a prompt conclusion of the case, the right to refuse discovery requests made by the accused, except as authorized by Article 1, the right to reasonable protection from the accused, the right to notice of release or escape of the accused, and the right to restitution. The proposed amendment would not establish a cause of action for damages or compensation against the state or any political subdivision, and it would take effect 90 days after approved. Okay, here are some arguments for issue 1. This would benefit all Ohioans by guaranteeing that crime victims will have notification during each step of the legal process. The right to be present in the courtroom. They would have input into plea bargains as well as financial restitution. They can appear before the court for enforcement if their rights are being violated. And it is supported by both Democrats and Republicans, including more than 275 lawmakers, local elected officials, prosecutors, law enforcement officers, and crime victim advocates in Ohio. And I'm going to read 2 quotes here. Catherine Harper Lee is the executive director of Ohio Crime Victim Justice Center. She stated, Marcy's law will ensure crime victims receive equal protections and equal access to justice. Far too many crime victims have been denied their basic rights. Marcy's Law corrects this injustice by informing crime victims of their rights, the status of their cases, and to receive notice of hearing that can impact their safety. Attorney General Mike DeWine, co-chair of the support campaign, said, "I think this is the natural next extension of victims' rights. It seems the right thing to do is to engrave it in our Constitution. Most prosecutors are doing everything that will be required by Marcy's Law, but it makes these things a matter of a right, not discretionary." Arguments against issue 1. There was no organized campaign opposing issue 1. However, the Ohio Prosecuting Attorneys Association and the Defense Attorneys Association got together, and they have united to oppose this issue. That's the only opposition that we have found. State Public Defender Tim Young wrote the official argument against it. Quote, "Ohio law affords victims extensive rights. Issue 1, noted as Marcy's Law, originated in California. 1 week after a young woman was killed, her mother was confronted by the accused murderer in a store. She didn't know he had been released on bail. Ohio does not have this problem. Ohio law requires prosecutors to notify victims when a defendant is arrested or eligible for pretrial release. In 1998, Ohio implemented one of the nation's first automated victim notification systems, which offers victims information 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Ohio law requires prosecutors to protect the rights of victims. If a crime victim is not receiving the assistance they are entitled to by law, Ohio should provide additional resources and training toward victim services, not amend our state constitution. Issue 1 does not provide additional resources, and the government remains immune to liability. When a victim isn't notified about a court hearing, a plea bargain, or offender's release, the victim should have recourse against the government, which is not provided under Issue 1. The problem in Ohio is not the absence of victims' rights, but the lack of a remedy when the government fails to carry out duties owed to the victims. Issue 1 amends Ohio's Constitution to give victims the right to refuse to turn over potential evidence and to petition the Court of Appeals. Issue 1 conflicts with essential guarantees in the Bill of Rights, including double jeopardy, confrontation, and speedy trial rights fundamental to our founders. This amendment would result in increased litigation, increased costs to taxpayers, and will delay cases, only hurting victims. This amendment is wrong for Ohio. And this was from State Public Defender Tim Young. 2 other much shorter arguments against Issue 1. John Murphy, Executive Director of Ohio Prosecuting Attorneys Association, stated, "What we're concerned about mainly is it creates the ability of the victim to intervene in the criminal justice process at any point along the line if they think they aren't getting their proper due. It could be a real mess." Barry Wilford, Public Policy Director of the Ohio Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, said the amendment would override state law, eliminating judges' abilities to weigh the rights of victims and defendants. He said, "This is overkill. It's a good cause, but putting it in the Constitution would be a drastic mistake." The end. I hope that made it perfectly clear. We used ballotpedia.org and the Dayton Daily News for the information that we have. And we will be glad to discuss this offline if you would like to discuss it one-on-one. Okay, that was issue 1.